What are my expectations for the New York Knicks this year? Let's get into this. Quickly before we get the video started, if you guys enjoy this video and want to see more NBA content just like this one, hit that subscribe button and that post notification bell. Anyways, back to the video. With the NBA preseason just getting started and the NBA regular season right around the corner, it's finally time to start talking about the 2020 NBA season. Now this video is going to be the first video of a new series I'm starting on my channel, and in this series I'm going to go through all 30 NBA teams and give my predictions for what I think they should be able to do during this season. And if you guys enjoy this series, I'll continue to make it, and the way you guys can tell me if you enjoy the series or not is let me know in the comments and also hit that like button to let me know. But now let's get into the video. Last season was a fantastic year for the Knicks, making it all the way to the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference when basically everybody thought they wouldn't even have a chance at making the playoffs. Guys like Julius Randle completely breaking out, becoming the most improved player last season, a guy like Barrett completely breaking out as well, who honestly could have won the most improved player if Julius Randle didn't win it that last season. From his rookie season to last season, he made a huge jump. Other guys on the roster stepping up big time as well. A guy like Reggie Bullock was an amazing 3-and-D guy for them. Mitchell Robinson was a great paint protector and also pick and lob kind of guy on the offensive side of the ball. Nerlens Noel as well. Emmanuel Quickley was a fantastic rookie pickup that they were able to get very late in the draft. There were so many different things that went right for this Knicks team. And probably the most important thing for that Knicks team last season was the head coach Tom Thibodeau that they were able to bring in this previous season. He was a fantastic coach for this young group of guys. He really held everybody accountable and everybody truly bought into Thibodeau's system, which was the main reason why everything was successful last year. But of course, after that very successful season, the expectations changed once they went into the playoffs, and at the very least they were expected to win at least one playoff series, or at least make it pretty competitive. But unfortunately for the Knicks, they lost in the first round to the Atlanta Hawks in only 5 games, which was a gentleman's sweep. And obviously the season didn't end the way a lot of Knicks fans and Knicks players would have liked to. But that's all in the past. During the offseason, the Knicks made some pretty big pickups, picking up a guy like Kemba Walker, which is a fantastic point guard pickup for them, picking up a guy like Fournier, which is a fantastic scorer and can also do some work off the dribble, be a pretty good facilitator for them as well. And they brought back some key guys like Derrick Rose, Alec Burks, and Nerlens Noel. And overall, this Knicks team is looking to come back even stronger than they looked last season. But before we can talk about expectations for this Knicks team, let's look at all the main players on this team and see how they're going to play next season and how they're all going to gel together. So first, let's start off with the best player on the Knicks, which is Julius Randle. So of course, last season, Julius Randle, as I mentioned before in the video, had a most improved player season, and basically in every aspect of his game, he got a lot better. In terms of the offensive side of the ball, Julius Randle can now hit from that 3-point range pretty consistently, either on catch and shoot 3-point jump shots, crossing over into a 3-point jump shot. But something that was actually very effective for Julius, especially during the regular season, was that sidestep and step back 3-point jump shot. A player of his size and his position at that power forward spot is not supposed to do the things that he's able to do from that 3-point range, which makes him just that much more incredible. But even besides his 3-point jump shooting, his best shooting is definitely from that mid-range area. In terms of that post turnaround fadeaway or that pull-up jump shot on the baseline, which is probably his favorite move, that pull-up jump shot from the top of the key from that mid-range area or for the wing, wherever, that was definitely his favorite shot and his most consistent shot within his game. But also Julius had the ability and mobility to really take it off the dribble and get all the way to the basket and either dunk over you at times, or for the most part what he would do once he would get all the way to the basket was finish around you with crafty layups and just outmuscle you. But everything that Julius worked on in terms of his own personal offensive abilities was definitely great, but in my opinion the biggest thing that Julius Randle did during that offseason was work on his passing and playmaking ability. If Julius worked on all those other aspects of his game in terms of his 3-point shooting, mid-range shooting, and just driving all the way to the basket, his personal scoring skills, I think he definitely would have been a better player than he was the year prior. But if he didn't necessarily add that passing and playmaking ability within his game, not only would the Knicks not be as good as they were last year, but I think personally in terms of Julius Randle's efficiency numbers specifically, I think they would be a lot worse than they were last year. A lot of people don't realize this, but obviously when you work on your passing and playmaking ability, you're helping out your teammates, of course, getting them wide open shots from that 3-point range, from the top of the key, from the corner, maybe cutting all the way to the basket, just making your teammates' lives easier. But what people don't necessarily realize is once you have the ability to become a very good passer and playmaker, and you're also an amazing scorer, it takes a ton of pressure off you specifically, because now the defense really has to focus on every player on the court because they know that you can easily kick out to one of those guys for a wide open shot, and they have to really stay on the guys that they're guarding a lot more than they would if you weren't able to pass and play make as well well as Julius could. So the fact that Julius is such a great passer and playmaker, it takes so much pressure off him in terms of he's not getting doubled or triple teamed as much, and when he does, he can easily find that wide open guy for an easy basket. And also on the defensive side of the ball as well, he improved significantly. But now talking about RJ Barrett, he was another guy that completely exploded last year and completely improved his game in every aspect. When you talk about his three-point shooting ability, he improved significantly. In terms of his driving and finishing ability, he improved significantly. In terms of his free throw shooting, that was a big problem. He improved that significantly as well. His mid-range shooting, it goes on and on. His passing and playmaking ability, he got better at that as well. Now last season, the biggest change for RJ, although he improved in so many different aspects, but the biggest thing was his catch and shoot three-point ability. Throughout his entire career, and especially in his rookie season, he was always known as the guy who wasn't able to shoot from that three-point range. But during the offseason after his initial first season, he obviously worked on it tremendously, and coming into that second season, he shot over 40% from that three-point area, which is actually really good. So the next step I want to see from RJ Barrett this season is to be able to create from that three-point range. And what I mean by that is be able to do some side steps, step backs, cross over into a three-point jump shot, just be able to create your own shot from that three-point area. I think that's definitely the next step for RJ. But I'm very confident that he can actually achieve this and just become a lot better of a player on the offensive side of the ball in general, as well as the defensive side of the ball. During the offseason after his second season, after he improved significantly already, there was a ton of reports out that RJ was working so hard during the offseason within his game, on his offensive game, on his defensive game, and overall just wants to become a better player, which is exactly what you want to see from the younger guys that you drafted, especially very high in the draft. So going into the season, I have very high hopes and expectations to what RJ Barrett could potentially do, and I think he's going to be a much better player this year than he was last year, and last year he was great. But I also quickly wanted to touch upon Emmanuel quickly as well. In his rookie season, he was remarkable. After being drafted pretty late within the first round, quickly completely came out of the gates running. He was fantastic very early on in his rookie season. He showed the ability to be fearless on the basketball court. He was not scared of playing in New York whatsoever. He actually embraced it. In terms of his scoring ability, he was fantastic. He was a great three-point shooter. He was fantastic at drawing fouls in this new NBA. He was great at putting up those floaters specifically. He had a great mid-range jump shot as well. Overall, he just seemed to be a fantastic player for this Knicks team coming off the bench. And honestly, there's no reason for me to believe why Quickly wouldn't be able to get better in every aspect of his game that he had a strength in. But now to quickly talk about the two big offseason pickups in Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker. Specifically talking about Kemba Walker first, he's definitely a guy who's going to come in there and be a very good point guard for them. He's of course a fantastic scorer on the offensive side of the ball. He's going to take pressure off basically all the players on the team, but specifically Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. Of course, he does have some injury concerns and he has to answer some questions about his knee specifically and see if he can actually play a full season or most of the season and be healthy going into the playoffs. That's definitely something we're going to need to see out of Kemba, but overall I think it was a fantastic pickup. You see the contract they gave him, they basically gave him nothing considering the type of player he is, and that's definitely a player I'm very excited to see what he can do, and I think he will be a very good player for the Knicks this year. But talking about Evan Fournier, of course I think this is a very underrated pickup for the Knicks. I think a lot of people see this guy as just a catch and shoot three-point jump shooter, but whenever you watch Evan Fournier play on the court, it's pretty clear that he's a lot more than just a catch and shoot three-point guy. He could definitely put the ball on the floor in terms of his pull-up mid-range jump shot. That's definitely a very effective shot for him. He has that post turnaround fadeaway, he has a floater within his game, and he also has a passing background and is a very good passer and playmaker, which is something that's also pretty underrated about his game. But overall, what are my expectations for this Knicks team this year? Now I know it's very early on and it's the preseason, and the preseason basically doesn't mean anything, but the Knicks just played their first preseason game against the Indiana Pacers, and when you talk about the main four guys in Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, Kemba Walker, and Evan Fournier, it seems like they're all playing together very effectively. They seem like they have pretty good chemistry together, and once again, I understand it's the preseason and it doesn't mean anything, but just to see that these guys have pretty good chemistry, at least very early on, is definitely a good sign going forward for the Knicks. But to answer the question of the video, which is what are my personal expectations for this Knicks team? Now with the new big pickups the Knicks made during the offseason, and also Julius Randle and RJ Barrett having some playoff experience along with all the other players they have on the roster, I think they're going to be a much better team this year than they were last year. But if the question is, are they going to be better than a 4th seed, or are they going to have more wins this year than they had last year? I don't know if the answer is yes to either of those questions. But now you may ask, how could they be a better team if they're not going to be better in terms of wins this year than they were last year? Well, I think the Eastern Conference just got a lot better. When you look at the Chicago Bulls, Milwaukee Bucks, Atlanta Hawks, Miami Heat, Brooklyn Nets, all those teams obviously got a lot better this season than they were last year. And overall, I just think it's going to be a lot harder to get some wins in the Eastern Conference now than it was before. If I had to guess, I would probably say the Knicks are going to be in the range either from a 6th seed or higher. If they're a 4th or 5th seed, I'd say that's meeting expectations. If they're under a 6th seed, I would say that's pretty disappointing for them. And if they miss the playoffs, I'd be extremely disappointing, or honestly, even making the 7th or 8th seed would be pretty disappointing for them. If they're above that 4th seed, I think that would be a very impressive season and definitely beating expectations once again. But the biggest thing in terms of expectations expectations, regardless of seeding, would be to actually win a first round playoff series. If they're able to do that, that would definitely be a successful season for them. If they're able to do anything more than that, that would be extremely impressive for them and very promising going forward. But the first building step for this Knicks team, this young Knicks team, was to make it to the playoffs, which they did last year. The next step is to win a first round playoff series, which hopefully they can do this year. And if they're able to achieve more than that, that just pushes you further in the progression to ultimately winning an NBA championship going forward. But once again, my expectations for the Knicks this year, regardless of seed, is to actually win a first round playoff series. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What are your expectations for this Knicks team? Do you agree with me that they have to win a first round playoff series? Maybe you think those expectations are too high, or maybe you think they should be higher. Let me know what you guys think. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe and hit that post notification bell. It really helps me out a lot. Until the next time, peace out, guys.